I was approached by Jim Valentine, who's head of performing art at Central Foundation Girls' School, and he said that he's got some funding and would I like to actually be involved in a project with creative partnerships. Initially I did approach him with the ideas of maybe we could do some sort of fusion between origami and created modular mathematical shapes, and that could be used in a production of some sort. I was always interested in origami as a boy, and I used to make, silly boats and aeroplanes. I've got this book called Modular Origami, and it just showed you how to make mathematical shapes using origami, which is like an art of paper folding without using glue or anything like that.
I think one of the particular reasons that we chose maths was that in Peter, he was very sort of enthusiastic about getting to be involved with an arts form, and I think from his enthusiasm I think the project grew.
I then take this and put it into equation number 2, correct? Alright, so what I'm saying is, let's just do equation 2, subtraction equation 1.
Well, first of all, we used origami and we made little Columbus cubes, and then we started making the models that we were going to make out of like straw.
The maths involved is quite tremendous really, because the pupils were working at first with straws, which they then need to enlarge it, and they have to use Pythagoras and enlargement techniques in order to actually visualize what the finished product would be.
To find the diagonal of the square on the Columbus cube, obviously all the sides of a square are equal, and the measurements that we had was 62 centimeters. We sort of halved the square, that's also 62, and then to find the diagonal of the little squares, you have to halve one of the sides of the square. So now we've come up with the 31 centimeters, and then it's a squared plus b squared equals to c squared, so it will be 31 squared plus 31 squared to give you c squared, and then you have to square root that answer, and we got a 43.8. And then to get the whole of that diagonal you have to times it by 2, because we only had a section of that.
The thing with creative learning is that I can actually teach them the same fundamental ideas but approach it from a different aspect. I can actually teach them Pythagoras using pen and paper and draw a right angled triangle on the board. But what they've done is they actually went away and actually worked it out for themselves, and actually realized that without Pythagoras they might not have been able to actually construct these rods which would be stable enough for these models. There's a lot of negotiations going on between the maths department, the dance department and the music department.
Having a person from one department actually being enthusiastic with another person in another department, and I think that conversation that people had within departments worked very well.
If you're looking at something in one subject, and you're looking at something in a different subject weeks later, if you know you're going to be covering the same thing, if you do it at the same time, it reinforces that knowledge for the children.
From the students' perspective, they actually seeing the link between the departments, so that they knew that, we're doing it in this subject to feed into another subject.
We were able to identify some particular